Doesn't make sense. No logical pattern, no standard unit of measurement, just like the others. There's something to this, I know it. Spiraling passages leading nowhere, corridors that loop back before they even turn, stairs 3 inches high, 18 inches high. This one's practically a ladder. This one doesn't even have a staircase, it's just nearly vertical tunnels. Shapeshifters? A multi species society? Did they develop flight? Better make a note. Builders never considered a single bodily form. This entryway is 2 feet high, 3 feet wide. This one's 4 feet high, 2 feet wide, 4.5. This one's blocked by stone. How could they even enter? Couldn't be erosion. That theory is as nonsensical as it is widely accepted by these closed minded academics. The professor isn't going to like this. Arturan, the young raven haired scholar, sat hunched at a table in Knowledge Keep in the Lichenstone University campus. Knowledge Keep was the most comprehensive and renowned library on the entire continent of Eddeith. Old books were stacked haphazardly around him, lit only by flickering candlelight on that late evening. Arturan's thin, delicate fingers traced symbols and sketches in old tomes, occasionally flitting over to his quill and ink to jot notes in his scattered pile of parchments, which were already densely packed with sketches and tiny blocks of text. At the next table over sat a young man with shiny blonde hair, sipping a goblet of wine. Done, he said. Arturan's focus was shattered. Done? What do you mean, done? Dorian, didn't you just start working on your essay an hour ago? I've been working on this all weekend and I've barely begun. It's simple. Everything we need to know for the essay was in the lecture. Weren't you paying attention? Of course I was paying attention, Arturan replied. You, on the other hand, were whispering to your friends for half the lecture. But that's beside the point. How can you just regurgitate what you've been told? If you think about it, really think about it, none of it makes sense. The consensus of the modern academic community draws conclusions based entirely on their own human perspectives and biases. We need to start looking at these ancient ruins with fresh eyes. Oh, Arturan, poor misguided boy. Do you, a single inconsequential hermit of a student, really think you could do better than the 1,000 experienced scholars and researchers who came before you? I think not. Do yourself a favor. Stick to the assignment, follow the instructions, and get your degree. You'll be much happier that way. And, dear gods, Arturan, your notes, if that's what you call them, they look like a squid shat on a parchment. Are you researching ruins or trying to recreate them? Anyway, I must be off. There's a certain female who requested my presence on this cold spring night, and it is a request that I must not refuse. I bid you farewell. What's the point in going through the trouble of writing an essay if it's just another summary of what's already been said? Arturan muttered to himself in the dusty darkness of the library. No, I refuse to stifle the truth. It must be said, and damn the consequences. The next morning, the students approached the professor one by one to turn in their assignments. Dorian, you never fail to impress me, the professor said as he finished reading Dorian's neatly written essay. Arturan hesitated, wondering for a moment if he should just walk out, tear his essay to pieces, and feign sickness later. But then Dorian walked back to his seat, and the professor was looking at him with bored anticipation. Arturan suppressed the tremble in his hand as he handed the densely written parchment to the professor, then stood there in uncomfortable silence as the professor read through his essay with a furrowed brow. At the last sentence, the professor laughed and adjusted his glasses as he looked up at the nervous student. Young man, you remind me of myself when I was your age. I, too, thought I had discovered something new, something that would contradict decades of researchers. But the world does not reward naive arrogance. That afternoon, the essays had been graded and sat in a stack on the professor's desk. Arturan collected his without even looking at it. As he walked out of the lecture hall, He heard some of the other students doting on Dorian, asking him for advice in private tutor sessions. Arturan sighed and quickened his pace. He needed air. As Arturan emerged onto the third-floor balcony, faint music carried over the rooftops and reached his ears. The festival, on the east edge of town. There had been excited talk of the festival lately. Friends inviting friends, groups making plans to meet up there after lectures. As Arturan stood there looking down on the tiny people below going out their tiny business, he suddenly felt even smaller than them, up here all alone. He could not relate with those people. They were too stuck in their ways, and he felt an odd sense of emptiness at this thought. He began crumpling up his essay, intending to toss it off the balcony in frustration. But then he noticed something. The professor had not failed him. He'd given him the lowest passing score possible, but that was enough. Arturan couldn't help but quietly laugh to himself. He pocketed the crumpled essay, then turned away and strode back into the great stone halls of the university, ready to do it all over again.